Hey guys, Ed here, and it's been about 3 or 4 weeks, I think, since I did a pickup video. 3 weeks. And I've picked up a lot of really good stuff, found some good deals, so I thought I'd better post a pickup video so I can get it put away. Now, before I do that, I want to talk about a couple of other things real quick. I was in some Christmas collaboration videos over the holidays. The first one was with 64-Bit Matthew, or as a lot of you probably still know him, Ramstein Fan 234. Come on, get with the times, subscribe to his new channel. And yeah, I was in a video with him and a bunch of other really cool YouTubers. The next one was with Mr. Dude 206, and he did sort of an animated retro video game take on A Christmas Carol, and I was in that with another group of really cool YouTubers, so you should definitely check that one out. And then finally, I did a collaboration video with Long Boys Post 1975, where we sit down and watch a really terrible Christmas movie and, well, comment on it. So if you really want to watch a really terrible Christmas movie with Long Boys Post 1975 and myself making stupid comments that have very little to do with the movie, you should go check that one out too. Links to all those will be in the description. I might put something up here if I think about it. Yeah, let's get on to stuff that I got. Now, I was given a couple of things from some of my really good friends on YouTube. Tony, or Electricadventures, sent me a Christmas card, which is still upstairs with my other Christmas cards. But in that Christmas card, he sent me this. It's a Topps, what is it called? Wide Vision Star Wars card, and I've not seen those before. I thought that was really neat. Thank you very much, Tony. You truly are one of my best friends here on YouTube, and my kids thought it was hilarious that I got a Christmas card from the other side of the planet. So you made our day. Thanks. And then another one of my really good friends on here, I am totally blanking because it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm very tired. Classic Game Hunter sent me a stack of Sega Genesis cases about this big, and they were the original cases for replacement cases that I had made, you know, many months ago for hell. I have a bunch of Sega Genesis games that I didn't have cases for. I made cases, and he was kind enough to send me the original cases for those. So thank you very much, Classic Game Hunter. Then where am I at now? Oh yeah, the stuff that I actually got for myself. No, that's not true. I got some stuff for Christmas, some game-related stuff. My friend Cortland sent me a Sega Game Gear cleaning gear. Now, I knew they had to make these for the Game Gear. I'd just never seen one before. And this one cleans both the Game Gear and the Game Gear games. So, very cool. It is complete in the box. I can't believe the box wasn't smashed years and years ago. He also gave me a Tiger Electronics head-to-head talking football. And I've never seen this particular LCD football game before, but it is very cool. Now, I'm on to the stuff that I actually bought for myself. My friend Eldon and I were at the Volunteers of America thrift store in Mansfield, Ohio, and I came across a CDI game, which I almost never see, and it was Laser Lords. Now, it is missing the cardboard sleeve, but the disc itself is in pristine condition, so I have one more terrible CDI game to play. Then Eldon went looking around the rest of the store, and on the opposite side of the store, he found a few other CDI games. And one of them, or at least the one that I decided to buy, was The Dark Fables of Aesop, narrated by Danny Glover. Now, he actually reads the stories to you, but there are games incorporated with the stories, I guess. So, whatever, I just thought the cover art was kind of neat. Then, 2 weeks later, I was back in there. Was it 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later? 2 weeks later, I think. And I found another CDI game. Now, this one is actually a game show, I guess, sort of, where you're supposed to play. It's a party game. You play with a bunch of other people, and it looks like a quiz show type thing. I don't know. I bought it because it was 90 cents, and it's actually sealed still. I don't know. I have a hard time passing up sealed games for under $1. If any of you don't, I'm sorry. I keep, besides being tired, I'm having to do this with my camera, and I've got the screen turned around so I can make sure everything's in frame. And there's a little box that keeps moving with my face, and it's incredibly distracting. I should figure out how to turn that off, since I can't use my computer or my webcam or my laptop now. I'm not sure how I'm going to post this video yet. We'll have to figure that one out. Maybe my wife's laptop, but it's incredibly slow. Yeah. Video game stuff I was going to show you. I was at Goodwill, I think in Wadsworth, Ohio, and for $10 I came across this. A black GameCube with the GameCube player, a memory card, and all the cords here. And for $10, I really couldn't let this sit there. Now, it does not have the disc, but that should be easy enough to make a copy of the disc that I own for my other Game Boy player. I don't know, I might sell this because, you know, for $10 I can make a decent amount of money off of it, or I may end up giving it to one of my friends or my son. I haven't decided yet. He thinks rather, my Game Boy player is really cool, so maybe I can give him one of his own. I don't know, cheap birthday gift. Moving along, I was at the Cuyahoga Falls store, the Cuyahoga Falls Exchange store, that's what I meant to say, and I bought a couple of games there, but before I go on with that, I hit my stops in Cuyahoga Falls out of order that day, so I ended up going somewhere before I went to the Exchange, so it put me behind a little bit, and that's irksome because as I walked in, at the counter was a guy buying a mint in-box copy, complete in-box copy of Metal Warriors for a tiny fraction of the cost that the thing normally sells for. And had I gone to the Exchange first, like I normally do, like the little voice in the back of my head was telling me to, I would have gotten that game, but I didn't. What I did find were some $2.50 TurboGrafx 16 games and a $2.50 Sega CD game that I didn't have. Now, I bought this 2 other times before, so you guys may have seen this in videos, but it was always for somebody else. So I figured for $2.50 I would get a copy of Power Rangers for myself on the Sega CD because, I don't know, you just rarely see Sega CD games that are affordable that aren't in trashed cases. At least I don't. Then I picked up, like I said, some TurboGrafx 16 games for $2.50, and the first 3 of these were games that I already have but I don't have in cases. The first one is Power Golf, then World Class Baseball, and Victory Run. I don't know, I just like having them in the cases, and for $2.50 how can you go wrong? Then these 3 I did not have at all. What is this called? World Court Tennis, TV Sports Hockey, and, you know, I don't think I have this. Maybe I do have that one, but I certainly don't have the case. And Sonic Spike. Yes, they're sports games, but I don't have them, and TurboGrafx 16 games in cases, again, something that I rarely see. Kind of like CDI games, and, well, you know what, I see more Sega CD games nowadays. I'm getting sidetracked, it's that sleepiness again. Then the next day, I was at my Akron stop, or I was on my way to my Akron stop, and I decided to go to a Goodwill that I normally only hit once every 2 weeks, but I was so irritated from having missed out on that game the day before, the complete in-box copy of Metal Warriors. When the little voice in the back of my head said, make sure you stop at that Goodwill, I went ahead and did it. And it's only 3 minutes out of my way. I know that 3 minutes seems trivial, but my schedule at work is so tight that, you know, deviating more than about 35 seconds off my route throws the whole day off. So I went to it, and it's kind of odd because it's a Goodwill with the Goodwill outlet store attached to it off to the side. And the way I understand Goodwill outlet stores is they are where Goodwill sends stuff that they can't sell. So I was surprised to find some stuff there that I actually wanted. And I have a couple of times, but not very often. I got a couple of Game Boy Advance games that I thought would be interesting. And you're not going to be able to see them because the camera's like 10 feet away. But the Pac-Man Collection, Wario Land 4, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong Country. Then, as I was getting ready to check out with those, I see off to the side on a bookshelf where they don't normally have video games, a game that I couldn't help but miss because of the yellow label. It is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. And these were all $1 because everything pretty much at the the Goodwill outlet is either $1 or it's sold by weight. So yeah, it was really cool to find all those for $1. And as I was getting ready to check those out, I saw a white box in the case that I had noticed before, but I couldn't see in it. But because of the angle I was looking, I decided to grab it. And this is $7.50. And inside I found a Sega Master System, a Model 1 high-definition graphics Sega Genesis, a light phaser, a couple of Master System controllers, an RF adapter, an AV cord for Model 1 Genesis, and the power supply for, oddly enough, a Model 2 Genesis. Not going to do me much good with these, but still, for $7.50, I wasn't going to pass them up, because this is another thing that I don't see very often around here. Model 1 Genesis is all the time. Power base converters, not very often. Not power base converters. Master Systems, not very often. Power base converters either. Alright, getting towards the end here. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to this morning, and I was at a Goodwill, actually again in Cuyahoga Falls, but you have to remember I was there, 3 times over the past 3 weeks. Today I was there, this morning, and the lady at the register had just put out some Nintendo 64 games. Actually, she was in the process of putting them out, so she was transferring them from the cart to the case, and I had seen the ones in the case. I noticed that they had a few that I wanted, and, well, I'll show you the 2 that I grabbed out of the case that were readily apparent. 2 copies of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. So, yes, I got a total of 3 of them in the past 3 weeks. I guess 1 for each week. Yeah, funny story behind these. I posted a quick snippet of the conversation I had with the clerk on my Facebook page, so those people got to read it. If you want to check it out, I'll put a link in the description of my Facebook page down below in the description, like I said. So you can go check that out if you want. Then I also mentioned that I had her give me a couple other games which were still sitting in the cart, and they were games that I don't have, so I bought them. Doom 64. Yes, I didn't have Perfect Dark. I've just never found it for a price that I was willing to pay, because I don't pay much for games, and usually this one doesn't go for a lot, but everybody knows it's popular, so it's usually anywhere between 10 and 11 bucks, so for $2 I'll buy it. For any more than that I probably won't, because I'm a cheapskate. I don't know why I told you all that, I'm sorry. Resident Evil 2 and Gauntlet Legends. So those were the games that I did not yet have in my collection, in addition to 3 copies of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time over the past couple weeks. God, I can't even remember what I've shown you, what I haven't yet. Oh yes, I'm down to the final couple of things. Alright, I got a whole bunch of PS1 and PS2 games in a lot, I don't know, 7 or 8 months ago. And I mentioned it on one of my massive Sega pickup videos, that I had gotten a bunch of Genesis games, actually I think 3 Genesis games in a lot, along with some Super Nintendo games, PS1 and PS2 games. Well, I took all those PS1 and PS2 games one day last week, and God, I can't even think straight. Took them all one day last week and traded them in, because they were all games that weren't really worth a whole lot of money. They're worth, maybe $5, and by the time I try and post them on eBay and sell them on eBay and PayPal get their cuts, it's not even worth my time. So I took out the few games that were worth something and took all the rest into an exchange store in Canton, Ohio. And that turned into enough money for me to buy this game here. It's called Fight Through Time Tyrants, and I don't know, you play a god competing against 3 other gods to control a civilization that slowly moves, it says, through 9 worlds in several different epochs, whatever. It sounded interesting, so I bought that. And then the main reason I had gone, my friend Eldon the week before, is there an earthquake? The camera is shaking. Anything else shaking? Wow, that's weird. What's wrong with you? Okay, that was very bizarre. Where did I leave off? Oh yes, my friend Eldon had told me the week before that he had seen this system sitting in that store. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to have time until next week, it's not going to be there, but just in case, I took all those games and I figured if nothing else, I could get some store credit and maybe buy something down the road that I wanted. Well, when I got there, they had it. It is an in-box Sega CD, complete in the box. And as most of you guys will know, I've been wanting to get a hold of one of these for a really long time, and it was really cool that I was able to pick one up there. Now, the really cool part, let's see, I already said really cool. The very cool? I don't know. The exceptionally cool part about the whole thing was that inside they had the Sega CD backup cart. Now, for those of you that are familiar with it, the backup RAM cart for the Sega CD usually goes for about 40 or 50 bucks all by itself. So to find that in this and to get it for essentially free for a bunch of PS1 and PS2 games that I wasn't going to try and sell, that I got in a lot that had already paid for itself, is really cool. And then I made this cover for one of my generic Genesis cases here so that I can put it up on the shelf with all the rest of the stuff. So, I think that's pretty much it. Sega CD was the coup de grace. I don't think I got anything else worth talking about. No, that's pretty much it. Nothing else worth talking about at all. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully I don't have another earthquake.